Well, I'm having a bit of fun here with the resistors in here because they're obviously an old style of resistor colour code. Now I've looked in my books and interestingly it didn't really cover these ones, but I went online, had a look, and basically it says body, tip and spot or middle stripe. So I try to read this one here, and it's a black stripe, green body, and I thought was red in the middle, but it might be brown. So that's worked out. If it is brown, that's going to be 50 and 10, so that's 500 ohms. And in fact, on my meter, yeah, that's what I'm seeing approximately, so that's good. So this other one over here, it's got a green body, a black stripe and an orange, I'm pretty certain, in the middle. So I'll make that 50 and 30, so that's 50k. So that's that one. I don't know if you can see it. I'll try zooming in a bit better. Oh, there we go. Can you see it now? A bit better. Yeah. There we go. Hard to get it. There we go. That one is reading 50k. So yeah, that must be the way to do it then. So that's much simpler. I've spent ages going through my books and not got an answer, and I found it online pretty quick. So I'm just going to check some of these resistors. I've still got that electrolytic to do here and the box, and then start doing some cabling, I think. I've done a lot of the resistors, and yeah, not bad really. 15k comes out 17k, 50k 58k, 500k 700. Okay, that's a little high. 210 221, 450 519. 2 meg 2.42. That's really good. You know, for a radio that's 75 years old, I'm quite impressed. I find 60s radios with resistors that are totally trashed. So I find that quite interesting. That, you know, there's so many that are pretty good. There's only one resistor I couldn't identify, and I'm sure I can figure that out from the circuit diagram. But good. I've heated up the piece of cotton covering and sort of squanched it up, and now, yeah, that's good. I think it's going to release these cables now. Oh, there we go. Got them out. So I suppose I need to do it in reverse when I put the new cables in. Yeah, they've definitely not in the best condition, are they? So, okay, making some progress. Just trying to change to Grommet now. I've loosened this one and managed to get a fresh Grommet in. I didn't really want to take the tuning scale apart. It seems to be alright at the moment. I've managed to pop that one in, and that's the old Grommet there, and that's just the screw that and the flat washer that holds it in place. So I'm hoping that the this is going to be the right height, so I'll continue to put it together. Had one of those duh moments when I looked at this one and thought, oh, I forgot to change this one, do I need to pull it forward? But fortunately this bolt actually undoes, so that was a fortune to take the bolt out and put a new grommet in. I'm progressing now. Got some new cables on here, and the cables on the lamps have been replaced now, as have the cable on the top caps, so making some progress. I think next thing I'm sort of thinking about is these cables here. I'll just zoom in. There we go. Wrong way. Sorry about that. Yeah, these screen cables, they're rubber with a nice screen over the top of them. They're used on the volume control, and there's one used on the top cap of this valve also. I'm just thinking what's the best procedure on that. Let's bring that out, it's better. Whether it has a short circuit I don't know, though this one feels actually like a different insulation material. But that one might be okay. Might have to change that one, but these ones I'm just not sure at the moment, but we'll see. Yeah. Feeling hungry? No. There's the capacitors out the box. Sure something's gone wrong with that one, but now I've got just a nice empty box now. See how to hold that together because it's waxy. That might be a bit difficult on the glue front, but sure I'll think of something. But yep, another mess. I'm just working on the capacitor box at the moment. I actually stapled it back together, so I was thinking that glue may not hold it. It doesn't look fantastic doing that, but at least it'll hold together easily. I'm just looking at attaching a tag strip to the bottom with some capacitors on. I'm at the moment just going to put 3 10 microfarads in. The original was 884. The 4 was used to smooth out the supply to the anode of the audio preamp, so a little bit extra there may not do any harm. I decided to put nearest to the value in as possible because if I do get the loudspeaker to work, the field coil, I'm not sure what the effect of putting more capacitance on it is. Especially if it's got a humbucking coil, I'm not absolutely certain, so I don't want to change things too much. But got a piece of tag board here fixed with a screw and a countersink screw, that is, and I just managed to pop that in, and so that will stay in position inside the box. But I'm still struggling to find a way to hold this box together. It is very, very delicate, and it is falling apart. It is 70-year-old cardboard, I guess. I'll have to think of something else. I tried a bit of glue gun to see if that was a stick. That's not really the right adhesive, not for waxy material like this, so I'll continue to try and figure out how to hold that together. Must be a way. Well, I've gutted another electrolytic. I haven't put the pitch in the end, but I've just put some tape on to hold the electrolytic in place, so that's the original electrolytic. It's a Hunt's again. Interesting thing, this is the cathode bypass for the audio, and there's a couple of switch positions on the radio. It's only put in on shortwave and gramophone position, so obviously you want a bit more gain perhaps for gramophone, but I'm guessing they put that in for more gain at the expense of less linearity. It looks like long and medium wave it's not used, so that's kind of interesting. So I wonder if that's the thought behind this being switched. I'm still sort of debating about what to do about this screen cable. As you can see, it's got a braid on the outer side and it's rubber insulation in the middle, and it's earthed at different points. Are we in shot? Just about. Perhaps if I come out a little bit. Wrong way as usual. Yeah, there's little brackets here holding it against the chassis. I'm just wondering what to do about this. It goes to the volume control, to this board here, which is bottom one of the IF cans, isn't it? Yes. and it's looped through to the pickup socket, and also to the, yeah, that's a bit crumbly that. Yeah, the only thing I can think of, well, I haven't seen many audio cables with braid like that. Perhaps some of the clear ones I've seen with a nice braid like that. So, but then this looks like it's tinned braiding rather than copper, because copper's going to go rather green, isn't it? So I'm not quite sure how to approach this one, but we'll have to give that consideration. I thought about using some coax cable, but the capacitance might be too much on there. I'm guessing this cable might be designed for low capacitance. Well, it is valve stuff after all, and of course we're talking about high input impedances, etc. So, always a problem with a project like this. I want to get on with it, but I want to make sure I make the right decisions maybe on this one. What was suggested to me is, can you take, oops, just dropped that screw, can you take the inside of the screen cable off and also get the clamp off. Right, there we go. Let's clamp off. I better retrieve that screw before I do anything else. I've had problems. Right, there it is. Take this screw off. Yeah, I've done that. Anyway, sorry. Where was I? Yeah. Good grief. That's stuck to it. Is, can you rebuild the screen cable? Right. There's one connection. There's the other end. Can you rebuild this screen cable by this screen cable by squeezing the metal bit, right, squeezing the screen back and put another wire in. Well, it's entirely possible, I wonder. That little bit of, yeah, that might come off. I'm not quite sure what's wrapped on there, but yeah, reuse the outer and put a new cable inside. Well, it's a possibility it might work. I'm going to have a try. Well, it might be possible. And certainly push the braid back, but there's another, which if we stay in focus, there's another layer of cotton over the rubber that looks more troublesome, because I think it's sort of some keeping shot. It looks like the cotton has sort of got dissolved into the rubber. So I don't know, maybe. I think you can see here I've managed to pull the screen back, but there's a another cotton coating over the rubber, and that cotton coating appears to be pretty stuck to the rubber, so I don't know if that's going to work. I'm going to have to warm that up to get that off again. This bit of sleeving. Hopefully I might be able to do something. Now I've discovered you've got this extra layer of cotton here, I'm beginning to wish I hadn't touched it now. Maybe it should have stayed as it was. You know, when you have those mad ideas. Got a bit of shoelace. I've had to replace shoelaces on my boots, so just wondering, that's the inner side of it. Yeah, I wonder if it would. I think that might be worth a try. If I take that off, Is that a good idea? Because it's now dropped. Is that far too thick? It's a bit on the thick side, isn't it? Even when I draw it out. I don't know. It might. I don't know. Crazy ideas. Crazy ideas. Yeah. Pretty similar. Question is, can I get the screen over it? Is it similar thickness? Similar. That's as far as I'll go. Well, after a bit of experimenting, I really couldn't get the braid over with this shoelace on. I wonder if I had a smaller shoelace it would go, but I'm just wondering whether... Yeah, I've reduced the spacing to the core, I will admit that, by not having cotton underneath between the rubber and the... But looking at it, it's not really that much difference, is there really? Okay, maybe I haven't got braid on this, but I don't know. I think I might just stick with that and go with that, and just see how we get on with that. It's only an audio signal. If I increase the capacitance a little bit, okay, fair enough. May take a little bit of treble off, but I doubt there's going to be a lot of treble in this anyway. There we go. Now I've just got to work out the spacing where the bracket is. Sometimes just something simple does the job. In this case, I've just put some wrapped some tin cable round the box and just twist it around the other side. It holds it together, and I can take it apart to replace the capacitors again. So no adhesives, that'll do me. Well, making some good progress now, I think. Screen cables now replaced. The only thing I didn't do is wrap some cotton round at the ends, which is what was in the original. I guess that would be cotton, then dip it in varnish, but that's something I could do later if I so desire. So the chassis is looking quite good now. I think the next thing is to turn my attention to cleaning the potentiometers and the valve holders, and then I'll think about my next steps, I guess. Do I try and get the speaker to work, or do I use a normal loudspeaker and put in a choke in place of the field coil for testing purposes, and see how we get on. Now giving my valve holders a bit of a clean up. These valve holders have got such big holes that I can use a little bit of cotton bud to get in. It's a bit more economical as well, using a little bit of stuff, although the cotton keeps coming off. But I've just been cleaning a lot of the contacts on this radio, so pots have been done. I had to take one of them apart to get the contact cleaner in. Finished cleaning all the valve holder pins best I can. I'm just working at the moment, trying to work out what's what with these IF cans, etc. on a piece of paper, because I've got the A48, but this might be a little bit different, because obviously I want to know what these presets are, hopefully, before I put the cans back on, so I know what I'm doing with that. So I think I've worked it out now by a little bit of deduction. So that one's the aerial over here, slightly out of shot. Let's just zoom out a little bit, that's better. I think that one's the aerial, that's the medium wave trimmer, it's a short wave trimmer. This is the primary and secondary, and that's the primary and secondary. How I determine those is quite simple really, because the secondary is going to be the one connected to the top cap of the grid of the IF valve, and that does continuity there, so on that side of the circuit. And also of course the IF valve anode continuities to the primary side here, so that just enabled me to figure out what's what there. I think the next thing I'm going to do is do some degreasing and regreasing of some of the moving parts. Just looking at the tuning cap here, it's got a fine tune implemented here, so it goes as far as there, then becomes a fast tune. That's quite stiff, so that's going to need a bit of cleaning up. Interestingly, it's a friction drive to this pulley on the capacitor, so variable capacitor, that's different. I've not seen a friction drive before. Normally it's performed by the string, but there's a spring here pushing this hard up against here, and then you've got the edge of the pulley, and that's how it's being driven. So that's slightly different, but the fine tune is a nice touch, most definitely, and it looks like it's covered in ancient grease.